So last night in the Facebook group, I asked what you guys wanted to see in future videos and podcasts, and while I received over 40 suggestions and comments, one stood out to me because it had been suggested a few times before, and that's the Georgia Guidestones. Now, these stones are sometimes referred to as America's Stonehenge, and this is one of the few times that the story is just as mysterious as the name would suggest. These massive concrete slabs are arranged into a monument in rural Georgia, and they have had tourists, locals, and the world at large obsessed and confused for decades now. And unlike a lot of my content, the details that we have don't seem to make the picture any more clear. The Guidestones themselves were the manifestation of a man that called himself Robert Christian, and I say it that way because that wasn't his real name. Only two people actually met him face to face, and that was the granite finisher and then the banker. Christian approached the company Elberton Granite Finishing in Elbert County, Georgia in 1979 and requested to talk to the company president, Joe Finley. He would then explain to Finley that he represented an anonymous group who had been secretly planning the monument for over 20 years, and that he had come to Elbert because their quarries had the strongest granite on Earth. After hearing what Christian wanted, which was 5 upright slabs that weighed over 42,000 pounds apiece, accompanied by a centered pillar that weighed nearly 21,000 pounds, Elbert was dumbfounded. Christian would go on to explain that he needed such stones because he was building a monument that needed to withstand the end of the world. He was convinced that human civilization was about to destroy itself and that the monument would provide instructions for whatever was left of humanity after the apocalypse. At this point, Finley was even more confused. He was even quoted as saying, "I was just thinking, I have a nut in here now. How am I going to get him out?" And that's exactly what he did. Finley would pass him on to a local banker, Wyatt Martin, with the assumption that there was just no way that he could actually get the funds for such a large, obscure project. After meeting with Christian, Martin would insist that he needed to provide his real name in order to keep the transaction on the up and up. Christian would agree, but with certain terms. He would only reveal his real name to Martin, and a non-disclosure agreement had to be signed and destroyed shortly after. And further adding to the mystery, Christian would pull the money from several different banks from across the country, so there was little to no chance that his identity could actually be traced. At this point, Martin and Finley were very skeptical. Both men assumed that he was just a religious fanatic, but sure enough, a $10,000 deposit check would show up and work would have to begin. Finley would locate the stones and help Christian secure a location for the monument. And once things were locked in and construction had started, he stopped by Finley's office to say goodbye and left by saying, "You'll never see me again." And after that meeting, the only communication that would occur would be by letters, and that was just asking that the ownership of the land be transferred over to the county. And these letters came from cities all across the country, never from the same place twice, and never including any real way to trace back where Christian was. With Christian now completely out of the picture, construction carried on, and by March in 1980, the Georgia Guidestones would be unveiled, coming in at more than 19 feet tall and nearly 240,000 pounds. The public was shocked, and questions began coming in at a rapid pace. Christian had specified that the Guidestones needed to be written in 8 languages: English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, and he included the following instructions for a post-apocalyptic world. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Along with these instructions that have been labeled the 10 Commandments of the Antichrist by some, there are also a few astronomical specifications to the stones, such as a hole through which the North Star will always be visible, and a slot aligned with the rising sun at solstices and equinoxes. Finley also had to bring in a specialist from the University of Georgia just to make sure these steps were followed properly. So, along with post-apocalypse instructions, the stones could also be used as a calendar. And even though Christian made his intentions very clear, that's not stopped people from wondering what the true purpose of the stones is. And these theories range from an alien visitor landing site to a warning that the New World Order plans to control the world through mass genocide. But what interests me the most is that with all the questions and all the theories, Christian never re-emerged to correct anyone. He did stay in touch with Martin over the years and even met him for dinner on a couple of occasions, but he would never reveal anything extra about the stones. According to Martin, Christian would always say, if you want to keep people interested, you can only let them know so much. So what do you guys think? I really want to hear your theories on what you think of these Guidestones, and if you ever actually visited them, let me know what it's like in the comments down below. But with that being said, I think we're going to have to add the mysterious Georgia Guidestones to our never-ending, but are always growing Tales from the Dark.